What you're about to see is a real-life story, taken from the files of the police racket and bunco squads, business protective associations, and similar sources all over the country. It is intended to expose the confidence game, the carefully worked-out frauds by which confidence men take more money each year from the American public than all the bank robbers and thugs with their violence.
Captain Braddock, ready.
I call this case the bill of sale racket. It began with a telephone call from a woman who seemed highly excited.
Captain Braddock, please, you've got to help me. Well, I'm so upset I hardly know how to explain. My husband and I have been swindled, and he's threatening to take the law into his own hands. No, I can't come to your office. Could you possibly meet me? My name is Mildred Bowles.
Where are you now? I see. Good. Wait right there. I'll be over. Mrs. Bowles?
Captain Braddock, I'm so glad you're here. I'm just about out of my mind.
Shall we have some coffee while we talk it over? You said you were in trouble.
You have no idea, Captain. I just don't know which way to turn.
Suppose you relax and tell me all about it.
Well, my husband owns a gas station about a block from here. And before that, we owned one over on Monroe Avenue in partnership with a man by the name of Gus Brown. When the Korean War ended, my husband was called up in the reserves. So Gus ran the gas station, and I looked after the small cafe next to it. One day, about 2 months ago, Gus came hurrying in.
Hi, Millie.
Hi.
Guess what?
You guess for me.
There's a couple of fellas out there want to buy the gas station.
But, Gus,
Before you say anything, let me finish. I can unload the place for 3 times what it's worth.
My turn now?
Yeah?
I can give you my answer in exactly 2 words. Nothing doing.
Why not?
Well, in the first place, Jack told me to hang on to the lease until he gets back. In the second place, there might be a catch to it if they're willing to pay more than it's worth.
We're hardly making expenses. We ought to unload when we got a chance. If they're willing to pay a fancy price, that's their tough luck.
Sorry, Gus, no sale.
At least come out and talk to them. That won't hurt nothing.
I don't know why I bother when my mind's made up, but just to humor you.
I didn't catch your names.
Calhoun, Mr. Johnson.
How do you do? Mrs. Bowles and her husband are my partners. Tell her the deal.
I'm afraid you're wasting your time.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am. You see, my partner and me owned a couple of gas stations in Montana. We sold out. We'd like to get back in business.
Your place is just about what we've been looking for.
They've offered $2,500.
We think it's a fair price.
Well, the inventory isn't nearly that high. And that includes gas and oil on hand, batteries, tires, hoist, accessories, and dealer's lease.
Well, suppose you let us decide what it's worth, ma'am.
I'll show you the breakdown sheets before we go any further.
Our average sales are 5,000 gallons a month, with a 7,500 potential.
Our potential isn't that promising, Gus. Let's be honest about it.
But look at all the lube jobs we get.
A few. Now, this is the operation statement for last month. And here's the yearly breakdown sheet. The cafe is really what keeps us going.
Then why do we hang on to it? Why don't we sell?
Because when my husband was here, we did better. When he comes back, we'll do better again.
Then from what you say, it's the way the place is run. We could get a master lease and buy our gas cheaper.
And work harder. I'm an expert mechanic myself. That could help.
Well, Gus is a pretty good mechanic, too. But since my husband went away, the repair jobs have hardly paid for the garage men's full coverage policy.
How long does your present lease run?
6 months, with a month-to-month extension.
What do you think?
Proposition still goes. We'd like to buy.
When we sold our gas stations at Deer Lodge, the money, $10,000, was placed in escrow. We'll give you a promissory note for $2,500 against it for 60 days.
We'll do better than that. We'll give you a letter to our bank. Them to send the cashier's check direct to you the minute our escrow clears.
Just a second. Maybe I'm a little dumb, but I don't quite get this escrow business. How does it work?
Oh, it's very simple. When 2 people make a business deal, the money, deed or bond, is placed in the hands of a responsible third party until all conditions of the deal are fulfilled. Get it?
I guess so.
What about you, Mrs. Bowles? You can't beat the proposition we're offering you.
I'll have to think it over. What's the name of your bank?
Western Trust and Savings. Call them up if you want to.
We'll take your word for it. No matter what you do, Millie, I'm selling my half interest. You want to be in partners with Mr. Calhoun and Mr. Johnson, that's your business.
Well, so we don't mind the lady thinking it over, but we'll have to know in an hour.
I'll have an answer for you by then.
Yes, it looked like a wonderful deal. If Mildred hadn't been under such pressure, it would have been perfect. But like all confidence games, this one, too, was running according to pattern. Gus and Johnson didn't want to give anyone time to think things over, to analyze the situation. And so Mildred had to do all her thinking and checking and come up with a definite answer in an hour.
Do you think she'll do business?
It's hard telling about Millie. She's got an idea your offer ain't on the level. It's too good to be true.
Well, maybe we should have offered less. Still can, you know.
If you do, I'm the one that'll back out. I might even hold out for more than you offer.
Our friend here is nobody's fool.
Sharp as a tack.
If you'll help us close a deal with Mrs. Bowles, there might be a little something extra in it for you.
Sort of a confidential bonus, say a couple of $100 as soon as we get our money out of escrow.
You fellas are talking my language. I'm with you all the way.
Thank you. That's all the information I need.
Who are you calling, a lawyer?
No, the escrow department of their bank. The money's there, all right.
Then if everything's okay, you'll go ahead with the deal?
Gus, I've decided to ask them for $1,000 more than they've offered.
You what?
You heard me. That way they'll either change their minds about buying, or my husband will say I've closed a wonderful deal.
I'm betting they'll get sore and back out.
Another cup?
Oh, I don't mind.
It's mighty good coffee, Mrs. Bowles.
No more for me.
Nice little place you have here.
Say, can you imagine the fun our wives would have running a little eating house like this?
You just gave me an idea. Have you made your mind up about the gas station?
I've decided not to sell for less than $3,500.
Oh, you can't be serious, lady. Why, just an hour ago, you thought $2,500 was pretty generous.
You must have made a very good profit when you sold your stations, according to what you have in escrow.
Oh, you checked on it, huh?
I did.
We made a good deal, all right, but your figure's mighty high.
Use your own judgment. I'm using mine.
Maybe if you gave us a cheap enough price on this cafe, we might still talk business. Running it would give my wife something to do. She ain't happy unless she's busy.
My wife was a waitress before we got married. She's always dreamed of running her own hash house. Suppose you name us a figure.
Well, I hadn't counted on selling this place. My husband gave me power of attorney, but he asked me not to let it go. Unless you're willing to pay $2,500.
Well, that sounds reasonable.
Well, it's a better buy than the gas station. We'll give you our promissory note for that amount.
Millie, you're doing the smart thing. Just think what Jack can do with the money when he's discharged. He'll be real proud of you.
I'll make out a promissory note for the gas station. You make one out for the restaurant.
When can your wives take over?
Oh, they'll be ready to operate first thing in the morning. All you have to do is leave us the key.
I'll be glad to help them out for a few days.
Well, that's very kind of you, Mrs. Bowles, but that won't be necessary.
These will have to have both our signatures. Now, Mrs. Bowles, if you'll just sign these bills of sales, we can get started operating right away.
Go on, Millie. Sign them. You'll never get a chance like this in 100 years.
All right. But let's not forget to get that letter for your bank.
Mildred Bowles thought she had taken all the precautions necessary. She had verified that Calhoun and Johnson had money in escrow, and she had a letter instructing the bank to forward her a check on the date the promissory notes fell due. But it wasn't as simple as it sounded. Follow up the case of the bill of sale racket. When Mrs. Bowles' husband returned from Korea, they made arrangements to meet Gus at a cocktail bar to celebrate the profitable deal she had made.
Gus! Hi, Jack.
Hi, Gus.
Hi, Millie.
Hello.
Sure good to see you. You're looking great, boy.
I'm feeling that way, too. Especially since Millie told me the good news about the station.
Millie sure handled the things like an expert.
Yeah, I should have stayed away. She does better without me. Let's sit down and drink things over. What'll it be?
My treat. Your money's no good.
Sherry, please.
Bourbon straight and a little ditch water.
Same.
See, I gotta give you both a lot of credit for swinging such a high-powered deal. I've already got plans how to use the money.
There's a little hitch, Jack. The promissory notes haven't been paid off yet.
When were the notes due?
Several days ago. I thought Gus would take care of things while I was waiting for your ship to dock in San Francisco.
You said the bank was supposed to send a cashier's check.
Mm-hmm.
Did you follow up on that?
That's what's got me puzzled. While Millie was away, I called the bank long distance. They said that the escrow had been dissolved and the money withdrawn.
Have you been out to the station to check out?
No, I thought I'd better wait till you got here.
They seem very honest, dear.
Just the same, those notes should have been paid off on time. Let's drive out there and take a look.
Good afternoon. Can I help you?
He one of them?
I know.
Look, mister, I want to see the owner.
I'm the owner.
But I sold this place to Mr. Calhoun and a Mr. Johnson.
I bought him out. Let's see. Yes, it's been nearly 2 months. You Mrs. Bowles?
Yes.
Here's your bill of sale they turned over to me. I paid them 900 spot cash. You must have stung them pretty bad to get 3,500.
We didn't get a cent. Just a worthless promissory note.
Well, now, that's too bad, young fella.
What about the cafe? Did you buy that too?
You bet. Got a bargain, too. 1,000 cash. And they paid you 2,500.
That was another promissory note.
You seen those men since you bought them out?
No. Said they were going back east. Didn't like it here and were willing to take a big loss.
Those men were crooks, mister. You understand that, don't you?
Well, maybe so, maybe not. All I know is I got a legal business transaction.
But this station and that cafe are mine. They fleeced my wife and partner while I was away.
That's too bad, son. You better go to the police. Ain't nothing I can do to help you.
He's right, Jack. If the police...
First, I'm going to get a good lawyer. Looks to me like we've been taken for suckers. Let's go.
The lawyer Jack went to said we didn't have much of a case. He said there's nothing illegal about giving a promissory note in return for a bill of sale.
On the surface, that would appear to be true. What next?
Well, the lawyer called again last week. He discovered that the escrow was between Calhoun and Johnson. In other words, a put-up job.
That's part of the routine. How did your husband take it?
The look on his face frightened me. I know when Jack's really angry. He bought some shells for a souvenir pistol he brought home from Korea, and he keeps it at the gas station. Oh, Captain, I know he has something desperate in mind, and those men are probably dangerous.
Does your husband know that you called me?
No, I made an excuse to get away.
Then you'd better be getting back. I'll drop over there in a little while. Good afternoon. What may I do for you? You're Jack Bowles, aren't you? Yeah, that's right. I'm Captain Braddock from the Racket squad. I understand you're having a little trouble. Oh, me? The only trouble I have is convincing my wife that I can handle things better than she can. This one of your ideas?
I telephoned him, if that's what you mean. I couldn't stand it any longer.
Your wife told me the whole story. Perhaps I can help. Look, I've already seen a lawyer. He says I haven't any basis for prosecution. So thanks, Captain, but it looks like I'll have to take care of things myself. Excuse me, customer.
Come on, let's go into the station. You'll have to overlook some of the things my husband says. He doesn't lose his temper, just keeps it inside, which is worse.
Yeah, it's like a powder keg. Nothing happens unless you touch a match to it.
Exactly. Oh, Captain, you better take this.
Ah, sweetheart. Mustn't touch.
Oh, Jack.
Do you have a license to carry that? Yeah. I'm afraid of being robbed. Look, your job is to enforce the law. And it looks like the law's on their side this time. Oh, that's where you're wrong. If it'll cheer you up any, your wife and Gus aren't the only suckers. You mean somebody else fell for that racket? Yeah, I checked at headquarters. We've had reports on 6 filling stations beside yours and 3 restaurants. Holy smoke. Did they use the same promissory note for all of them? Yeah, bills of sale. They turned them over for whatever they could get in a hurry. But here's the point. If yours were the only case, probably a complaint wouldn't stand in court. But the number of cases clearly shows an intent to defraud. Yeah, I see. Well, that begins to make sense. Okay, I'll let you in on something. I put out some bait. I'm running an ad in the paper advertising this place for sale cheap.
I figure Millie could identify those gyp artists if they happen to show up.
Well, they might, but it's a long shot. Generally, they move to another town after they've cleaned up. But with the description your wife gave me, we can send out a statewide bulletin to pick them up.
Captain, I'm sorry I sounded off the way I did. I guess my battery was overcharged.
No harm done. Now look, if Calhoun and Johnson should happen to answer your ad, make an appointment, then stall them. Make some excuse to get to the phone and call me.
You bet.
Now, all you have to do when you talk to them is act like a chump.
You think that'll be hard?
Thank you, Captain Braddock. I feel so much better now.
Goodbye.
Hello. Yeah, that's my ad you saw. No, the place isn't sold yet. The price I'm asking is practically giving it away, but I need cash. Sure, I'll be here. Ask for Mr. Jones. What's your name? Thanks. Honey, I think the rats are nibbling at the cheese.
Calhoun and Johnson?
Well, he gave a different name, Slater, I think. But he said he and his partner were closing a deal up north and had money in escrow that'd pay me off in 30 days.
When will they be here?
Any minute now. He said he was only a couple of blocks away. Now, park yourself in the corner. And if they're the right guys, give me a signal. Then call Captain Braddock.
Okay.
What can I do for you?
Are you Mr. Jones?
That's right.
I'm Slater. This is Mr. Black.
Oh, you're the party that phoned about my ad. Mind if I don't shake hands? Pretty greasy.
But I've been a grease monkey all my life.
Same here.
Excuse me. Now we can talk.
Well, we can't make your proposition till we check your inventory and look at your worksheets.
Oh, I can give you the figures. I know them by heart.
Oh, we don't doubt your word. Just like to see things in black and white.
It'll take a little time for me to get the papers in order.
Well, we don't mind that way. Just take all the time you feel like doing it.
Hey, it's a dame from the cafe.
It's a plan. Let's get out of here.
Telling me.
What's your hurry, boys? I thought you wanted to make a deal.
Think again, wise guy. Get inside.
Get out. Take their guns. Nice going, Jack, but you'd be a lot better off leaving these things up to the police department. That's what we're paid for.
Next time I will.
You'll have a sweet time proving a case against us.
I doubt it.
How'd you like to buy a nice new jail cheap?
Go peddle your gasoline, buddy.
Well,
Hold it, Jack. All right, let's take them down to headquarters.
Now, aren't you glad I called, Captain Braddock?
I sure am, honey. What would I do without you?
The Bunko men were convicted on several counts and sentenced to San Quentin Penitentiary. Calhoun and Johnson had served a previous term in Montana State Prison at Deer Lodge. Their scheme was clever. Where they slipped up was in putting over too many deals. This established a course of conduct proving bad intentions and a conspiracy to defraud. The money they had taken was proportionately divided among the victims they had swindled. Unfortunately, it was not enough to fully reimburse Jack and Mildred and the other gas station owners. Let their experience serve as a warning, because it could happen to you. Well, I hope I've been able to give you some idea of how the con man operates in actual cases. The fact is, you'll find con men almost any place, from the scrubbiest parts of town all the way up to the playgrounds of the social set. And in each case, they manage to fit right into the background they're working against. And when you tell a sucker that he's been swindled, most of the time he won't even believe it. But finally, when the truth does sink in, he says, "But how was I to know he didn't look like a con man?" Well, they never do, or they wouldn't be in the business very long. Now, can you tell a con man when you see one? Is there any way? No, because he looks just like anybody else. The con man uses only what nature gave him: his brain, charm, an ingratiating manner, and an understanding of human nature that would do justice to a professor of psychology, believe me. And that brings up another important point in the con man's technique. The con man relies on something that I'm afraid is part of human nature: the irresistible desire to make fast money on a somewhat shady deal where you're sure you won't be caught. There seems to be a little larceny deep down in everybody's makeup. Just a spark. But the con man knows how to fan it into a hot flame. And that's just as unfortunate for the police as it is for the sucker. Because once a man who is otherwise being entirely honest lends himself to a shady deal, he's somewhat reluctant to complain to the law. And, of course, where there's no complaint, there's no arrest. And the con man goes on his merry way looking for another sucker who'll keep his mouth shut. Let's face the facts. No one's going to give you something for nothing. Investigate before you invest. Don't be a sucker for these criminals who are so confident they can fool anyone, even you.